Hi and welcome to another amazing episode of the Behind the Brands. And today we have Ross from That Honest Car Guy.
Hello.
We try to do good intros now, like clap.
Yeah, it's nice to have an audience.
And it's really good to see you. I'm excited to learn. I like cars. So cars is an easy topic. I think Becca, when we booked this in, was like, but it's got to have marketing to it as well. And I was like,
it does. I feel like I'm going to need to keep reminding you.
We could talk about cars.
Well, there is a brand.
He's telling me off for holding the mic, but I'm not going to listen.
You mess with it all the time.
I know, I like doing it.
There is a brand and I'm behind it, but I like cars. So
yeah. So talk to us about, I guess, give us a bit of the journey before you started this and what you've been doing and kind of how you got round to starting.
Yeah, so I've loved cars all my life, and we might talk about history and stuff in a minute and why. But I've never actually done anything job-wise, career-wise with it. My whole career was in higher education, doing various things. But I did last 10 years, I did comms and public relations and community relations and all that good stuff for a medium-sized university in Surrey. The University of Surrey.
Don't let them know they're a medium size.
Yeah, I think they're medium size. I don't think I'm going to call them big, and they're certainly not small. So I
think we've sold to Surrey before, another capacity, but yeah,
good. And I was quite happy doing that. It was a very safe area for me. You know, it's a nice place to work. That area is great, but inside there was a passion that's never really had a chance to do anything. And you know, post-COVID, everything's changed a bit. People are thinking differently. I'm thinking differently. We moved back down here. I'm originally from Cornwall.
Right, that's probably a big factor.
I am sort of local-ish. So we moved to East Devon because then we're within spitting distance of London still. That's what my wife said anyway.
Not true.
No, it's not true at all. There's
not true at all.
Lots of potholes and floods in the way now.
Yeah.
But we've got friends, and my wife's Danish, so we fly to Denmark a lot, and it just wants to be that side of the county so we could get away.
Where do you have to fly from now?
We go from Bristol.
Bristol, yeah. We're right by an airport here, and it's
really annoying.
I can't remember the last flight I saw go out of there.
No. It's not great.
These planes fly over my house in Ottery St Mary, flood central, and
just down
they don't go anywhere useful. Basically,
it's also the most expensive airport to fly into or out of because they have such a lack of flights.
They have to put people on the day.
Cost is insane.
Because Mario was telling me, the guy who works here, because he hires cars sometimes from their rentals, because they still have like the rental set up. I don't know how many people they rent to, because there's not a lot of people coming through.
No.
But the staff go in for a flight, so they'll do an hour or two and then they leave again.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go on a tangent, but Bristol is the nearest airport. So you've you've got yourself fairly close to Bristol, fairly close to London. But you're now back in the southwest.
We are, and really happy with it. Higher education is going through a bad time at the moment. They're laying off loads of people. They have been for the last couple of years. You can see where this is going. And I, along with several hundred other people, were offered a voluntary redundancy package. And I thought, well, I've moved to Devon. I really shouldn't still be working in Surrey, which is what I was doing. I was going up and down.
Why?
Not every day, like once a month, twice a month, something. Because it was just a really nice job and I enjoyed working there. But I was kind of getting done with it, and I'd been there for 10 years. And
it takes a lot out of you to do the distance.
And I've got a young family as well.
You don't want to be doing it for too long.
No. And so when they said, would you like some money to leave? I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go.
Someone pay me to leave. I'll go.
I don't think you can pay yourself to leave.
No, I can't. But no,
I don't think we'd let you
either. It gave you that, I guess it gives you that opportunity to do something else if you wanted to.
Slightly scary, mind.
Yeah.
Because I've worked for people. I haven't worked for myself ever, and...
brave, really.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of braving it out now. So I started last year. So I had ideas, and I was like, is this the time? This is the time to do a car thing. Don't know what it's going to be. What can I do? Can I be a car dealer? Well, and I looked into that, and the overheads and just the whole thing of it just didn't appeal to me in the end.
It's a lot of risk.
I met a few car dealers, and there's some great ones and there's some bad ones.
Not all of them are very happy, are they?
No,
that's the problem.
Not many of them are very happy, to be fair. And it's tough. It's actually tougher than I think the consumers buying the cars realise.
I think you've hit something there. Like businesses have really been hit quite hard with a lot of tax and increases, but also people like Auto Trader have increased all their pricing.
Yes, there's a whole thing going on with that.
Big increase on everything. So actually, to sell the cars, the cost of like advertising has gone up loads.
Yeah,
and people want them for nothing because they've got no. cost of living. People want cheaper cars.
They also want them perfect as well,
and they want them perfect. And the second-hand car is not. You're never going to get a perfect. Yeah. Never going to get you get a good example. Maybe you de-risk with warranties and things like that if you can buy that stuff. But it's really insurance. It's not a guarantee.
No, and I think. And I'm a member of a few small car dealer forums and things on Facebook. So I just observe. I don't ever. I just observe what's going on and what people are saying. And it's like a war zone. So I decided that wasn't for me.
You sure?
And then, and then I looked and I thought, well, what else can I do? And we are living in quite a big tourist area.
Yeah.
And I thought, what can I do with tourism and cars? And so I started a small business, which is still going now, but was going to take a while to build up, called Drive Devon.
Yeah,
which we haven't mentioned, but I haven't told you guys. Drive Devon. I'm hiring out little MX-5 sports cars for tourists and weddings and fun days out. So I started that last year. Bought myself a couple of MX-5s, which I just about fit in because I'm 6'4", so they're not really my ideal car. But they're like go-karts.
They're a lot of fun.
They're so much fun, and they're cheap to buy.
They're also really can be quite dangerous.
It's rear-wheel drive. Yeah,
you've got to know what you're doing a little bit. But I mean, for these roads, it'd be perfect because it's a lot of fun, isn't it? Going around.
So I bought a couple of those and started renting them out last year. That's been fun, but it's going to take a while to build that business, and it's not going to, it's not going to support my mortgage and my family. It's fair to say. So we started that, and that's carrying on. And then middle end autumn last year, I was kind of starting to look at jobs again, thinking, right, I need a job to go with this. I can't do this on my this. My wife, bless her, is paying the mortgage. We're all right, but this isn't going to work. So I had a moment, and I think you have to get pushed to the very edge, which is what happened with me. And I sat with my laptop, head in my hands, feeling like I wanted to cry, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Having the pressure, and my wife's been brilliant, so it's not from her, but just the pressure of feeling like I wasn't succeeding and what was I going to do, and maybe it just isn't possible to do. I need to just go and work. So I started looking at comms jobs and things again. I just felt miserable. I was halfway through filling in a job application, and I literally was about to burst into tears. I felt so sad.
Yeah.
And then the next day,
that would be a sign not to do that to me.
My heart wasn't in it again. I just thought I didn't want to do this. And it wouldn't have been for higher education, it would have been something else, but my heart wasn't in it. So at that point anyway, maybe in the future will I become a comms person again. Maybe I will if you watch this. But for now it isn't. I want to do my own thing. And so the very next day on a local WhatsApp group, a friend of my wife basically had a broken car.
Oh, right.
Old Peugeot.
Yeah.
Not that old.
Not as old as we talk about,
a standard family car Peugeot. And she was tearing her out. She needed to replace it. She needed to do some journeys. She's a PhD student. And this car was really broken, and she just did not want to go to car dealers. She hates the whole process, found it really intimidating, really got sick of the kind of, from previous experience, misogynistic kind of, guys not being very nice to her sometimes, which can happen in that environment. Apologies if you're not like that, that's great, but there's a lot of people who are. Mm-hmm. And someone said to her, Ross loves cars, talk to him.
You had that experience then, haven't you?
Yeah, when I first started driving, I think my first 3 cars, I didn't have great experiences.
Yeah, well, that's a
the
shame.
cars were crap, and I'd been sold a pile of crap. That had loads of issues with them.
And your hopes and dreams go with it, don't they?
Yeah, and they were shitty first cars. Very much, but they were horrendous. I think really everyone here has heard the story about my little Renault Clio that was my first car that had a sunroof, but the sunroof leaked, and I just thought it was quirky, and I had to put my hood up when it was raining.
French.
But what I didn't realise is that it was also dripping into all of the electrics, and one day it just stopped.
Yeah.
So that wasn't very fun. And then second car, Citroen C1, very old one again. Not
going back to French cars,
not great.
They actually can be.
But I couldn't get into first gear. It was like I was hitting a metal bar trying to get into first, and no one could figure out what was wrong with it.
I feel like the 80s French cars, maybe the 90s ones, were cool and were robust to some extent.
Yeah.
And the ones that came after that, unfortunately, this is a massive generalisation.
Yeah.
As they get, when they're new, they're really cool. We were just talking about Renault 5 earlier. New electric one. It's an amazing looking thing.
That thing's really cool.
But when they get older, I know it'll be different with EV to some extent because there's less to go wrong, batteries. But they're not great. And she had a Peugeot 308 or something like that. And basically,
308.
I think the DPF was toasted on it.
Yeah.
Typical, probably used it for the wrong kind of journeys. And it was just old. And it was falling apart in other ways. And it had a few kind of war scars on the side of the car. She lived down a country lane. And anyway, so
age related.
I got a text message from by my wife, and I was you know, and I was like, okay, I'll go and help. Okay, I'll help this person. Didn't think about it as a business thing. So I'd look at the car and, you know, it's like, right, if you do these few things to the car, I'll help you, literally cosmetic things, and let's price it accordingly with what's wrong with it. Actually, someone else will probably buy that and fix it and sell it on or whatever, or just run it as a family car. And that's what we did together. And then I helped her find her new car, which is not new either. It's a Skoda that's, you know, 10 years old or something, but it's a good, you know, from a dealer who was decent, that what she could afford. And we, you know, and she was so happy with it. And they were chatting, this group of friends that I'm sort of peripheral to, I suppose. And they're like, why isn't Ross doing this as a job? He's looking for something to do with his life. He's really good at this. And I was just like, is this a job?
Because it's not like a traditional one, is it? That I've heard of. You get people who source cars, and I guess that is a job, sourcing cars, because you can source all sorts for people, can't you? Like you know, we talked about supercars. That would be really cool.
Mainly
to get into
exotic stuff.
Get into that where you're sourcing cars like that. But I think really cool to help people who probably do really struggle. So did you manage to get more of this friendship group sort of wanting to work with you? What's happened?
So Alice and I were chatting afterwards, and I think she said it to me, or she said it, and there was a few of us there, and we was chatting about it afterwards, and I'm kind of like, you know, I was at the job breaking point when I was applying. I was literally in that moment, or just around that day, or the couple of days around that, and she was just like, you're just kind of like that honest car guy that doesn't exist. You know, you go to dealers and you feel like they're not being honest. I mean, some are, some aren't, but you feel like that way about it. And people sell privately and they're never honest about what's broken on the car, and you buy it and you get it home and you're sold as seen, and then you're stuck with whatever it is. You're just like that honest car guy. And it's just this little light bulb thing happened in my head and was like, hello, you know, oh, could that be a thing? It's like, because I wouldn't even know what to call myself in my business, you know.
The honest car guy.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm having that. I'm having that honest car guy. And I looked it up, and actually in America, so there's a guy called The Honest Car Guy who's an older car dealer in America.
But not relevant for here because the cars are a lot different.
He hasn't contacted me so far.
Late.
So I'm that, not The. And doing something very different to what he does, to be fair.
Yeah, because I've come across he has like a blog, doesn't he, or a forum or something, and I've come across him before because I was looking at...
He's not a big name, but
I was looking for a problem with a car. You know, when you look up, like, I've got this problem, what is it? What could it be? And he's got a few bits, but there's a lot of different models to the UK. We don't have the same car selection here, do we?
The culture's very different, actually.
Very different, yeah.
So that
kicked you off.
That kicked me off, and I basically am lucky to have a few people who I'm already working with for the Drive Devon stuff, who've kind of been sort of loosely mentoring me. I do actually have a proper business mentor now, Jerry, who I'm seeing later on today, has been awesome. But actually some other people, John Harvey, who just had on from Samfire, and some other people have just been very sweet and just kind of, you know, because I've never done business on my own before. I've never done any of it. I've worked in comms and I've been around marketing people, but I've never created a brand or any of this stuff, you know, and an identity and a persona. You know, what am I going to? It all feels very strange, and I feel a bit sort of like you feel sort of a bit of a charlatan, you know, or it's imposter syndrome, isn't it?
You definitely, that is a common thing. So when you start a business, you have to put across what you are, and you want to put yourself in the best light. But with that, there is a feeling of being like, well, I'm not quite. I don't know if I'm really that yet, but I'm going to say I am because I need to be something to someone.
Yeah.
If you go, well, I kind of do car stuff, and they're going to go, well, right,
what's that?
Why? You know, so you have to. You have to put your best foot forward and project the vision of what you want to do. But you will feel like at times that, I've only just, started, and I've had maybe on my second.
I think
or first.
though, like once you've been doing it for a little while, you realise that everyone's doing that. Like even the big players that have been around for years do it, and they definitely don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, you have to sell. You have to sort of sell. You have to sell what the vision of what you are, and that might not be a reality necessarily to start with. So you without being dishonest, but you kind of have to promise that you will do these things and then make it happen.
The thing is, I know what I can do, and in terms of historically, the reason why I got roped into helping Alice with her car was that for my whole life, my poor friends and family have had to put up with me basically helping them, whether they liked it or not, buying their cars.
Yeah,
and when they,
because this is a thing you've been doing for a long time.
So it started when I was a kid. My dad had a succession of really awful cars.
Yeah.
Right. So prior to me being born, he had little convertible MGs. He'd done hill climbs. He'd done competition.
Your fault then.
He'd been really good. I got born. MG didn't work anymore. 3 into 2 didn't work. So all the cool cars went, and then we had this, and he didn't have a lot of money, bless him. And so we just had some really shit cars. And I always felt embarrassed because my friends would turn up at school and, okay, they weren't turning up in Cosworths or anything, but they, 80s.
Yeah.
But they were turning up in, a new Nissan, and I was turning up in a 28-year-old Volvo that was brown. So, and that's what I learned to drive in, was a brown Volvo 244 with brown seats, and it was beige on the outside, and it had a slippy clutch and everything.
Volvo, say that one again.
The one with the round headlights. It was
Round
square
headlights.
body,
Yeah.
round headlights. A very early Volvo 244.
244. So the 240 was an estate, wasn't it?
So it's the saloon version of that. It
Yes.
wasn't even an estate.
So
it wasn't even a useful car.
My dad had the 240 GL
Ours wasn't
estate,
a GL. Yeah.
and it had
Did you have electric windows?
yeah,
We
and
didn't.
it,
We had
and
windows.
it had like you could adjust the height. It had a button, or it might have been later on. Anyway,
I
did
couldn't
Volvos.
cope with that.
He did Volvos.
Yeah.
I think there was a door a different colour and things like that. It was a similar story for me as well. Never had any money for cars. There'd be a cars on the drive for years, and then someone's mate will come along and take the engine out of it because they needed it for something else. And
So we had a
it's like-
1966 before the brown Volvo. So I wasn't before I started learning to drive. So I still must have been a teenager. And one of the terrible cars was a 1966, I think it was 68, Aquamarine Austin Cambridge. So like a really crappy 60s car that wasn't an E-Type by any means. Wings on the back. It was probably, he decided he fancied the classic because he'd been a mechanic as well before. Took it to pieces, put it in the garage, and never came out again, did it? And then he sold it in bits to someone. Going back to what you said.
Yeah. Well, we're all guilty of it.
I used to force him to not, when I was going to school, I used to force him to drop me around the corner if it was in that car or the Volvo, because I just didn't want anyone to see me in it. I feel really bad for him now.
I don't
rest his soul.
remember being like, I don't remember friends cars being like cool. I'm trying to think which ones I went in where I was like, this is really nice. Probably a couple when I was younger, actually.
One of my mates' dads had a Honda, some sort of Honda, and it was really quick, and he got it up to 100 on the Camelford Road. I remember that scared the crap out of me. My friend driving, when he just passed his test, and I was, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's the time when you try it, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well, when you've not got any driving experience, really, minimal experience, go the fastest you're ever going to go.
Yes. And so
Hondas were like really futuristic. Like
good cars
when
in
they
the
came
80s.
out, when they like back in the day, they were like really futuristic. They were pushing the boundaries, and they were really well made.
They were well made,
and they lasted,
yes.
and the engines were bulletproof.
So
They still are really.
So I used to enjoy getting lifts from my friends, but not so much from my dad, bless him. But and where that leads is I would buy Auto Trader. If you remember being able to buy Auto Trader, the magazine.
You had to go into the newsagents, and it wasn't a mag. It was like thick, wasn't it?
There was one for every area. So there was loads of these across the country. It wasn't the Auto Trader. There was one for the Southwest.
I only remember it being like a thick catalogue type thing.
Well, it was.
Yeah. And that thing was like newspaper inside of it. So you had
you couldn't see anything really.
No, it was like the pictures are crap.
Yeah.
But then writing you could barely read. But
Yeah.
you'd have loads of. I mean, some of the ones now, if you would have bought the cars that were in there, that were being like going back there, some of the ones that were some of the listings I see sometimes posted on like Facebook, and it's like, look at this in 1992 or whatever. Look at these cars were £4,000, and they're like 100 grand now if you'd have just bought them and put them somewhere.
Oh god, there's some really good stuff.
And you kind of kick yourself because you think, well, perhaps, I mean, definitely didn't have the money then to do that, but I don't know if that era will come again. Do you know what I mean? Whether we'll have that again, because those 80s, 90s cars, are we going to do that about like what we're going to be collecting now that's going to be doing that?
I mean,
do you
when
know
we
what I mean?
get to pure
It's
EV,
not the same, is it?
If it goes pure EV, and I don't know if it actually, I mean, there's an awful lot happening with technology and the environment and the direction we're going, and I think it's still not entirely clear. I know it's going very EV and it continues to do so, but whether those cars will be collectible in the same with all special exceptions, but whether those will be, I don't know, I have all sorts of views about where things are going, but Auto Trader, so I basically used to buy it, stick it in front of him,
and say buy a car.
I'd spend hours on it, circling the cars, and even then I would be like, okay, I think I know my dad's budget, which is not very much, and I'd do this stuff, and of course, did he ever listen to me? No, he didn't. He continued to buy terrible cars, but it stuck with me, and I have basically done that my whole life ever since then for friends, family, and often they've asked me to help, and I've helped them buy their cars.
I bet you're a nightmare to live with, aren't you? I bet you're looking at cars constantly.
Yeah, well, I am now.
But I think
I definitely am now. Yeah,
a lot of people have that family member or friend, don't they, that they would go to if they're looking. Like people here do it with you.
Yeah.
I didn't. I
Asked me about
just did
cars.
my own thing, which I probably should have got you to look at it, really.
I think you did really well with what you got. I think your car, you had two, didn't you, that you were looking at? You were looking at
Yeah,
that
there were
one,
two or three.
Yeah,
Nissan Qashqai. I had to upgrade I had to upgrade from my Mini, which had an issue with the drivetrain, didn't it? Yeah. I'm convinced that it was just a sensor fault because it was every time we went over a speed bump. We were on shoots. Usually, I can't remember how old it was, but I loved it. It was like I did treat it like a rally car, though. I thought my driving
the
was
Rover Mini, the BMW, Mini.
Yeah,
the early ones generally are not known for longevity, with exceptions.
No, it was all right. I loved it. My little go-kart.
Not great on fuel either, are they? The first ones, BMW ones.
I've never owned one actually, but I know a lot of people have, and they've all gone wrong.
Yeah, they do go wrong.
But yeah, it was.
Qashqai's a good car though, I think.
Yeah, we were playing.
So keen on. What's your thoughts on the Qashqai?
See, I really like it, but we were playing Tetris in the back of my car, weren't we, when we were going on shoots with the Mini? So I needed something bigger, and also
it's a really sensible, mass-produced car. It doesn't make me as depressed as a Mocha. Mochas make me very sad. I feel slightly like
Mocha,
I want to.
They tried to rent me one of them when I went away somewhere, and I went, I'm not having a Mocha.
Saying that, the new Vauxhalls, which are basically
get me something else.
the new Vauxhalls, which are basically French cars underneath, they're all right, But the previous generation of Mocha, I just look at it and think, who designed that?
So you
it is a newer one though. It's the nicer shape. I will put that out there.
And the Qashqai, I don't like the Nissan Juke is a waste of time.
Yeah, they're
because it's really a jumped up like Micra, really.
Yeah, my mum used to have one. And she hated it.
They're like they've sort of jacked it up and put bigger arches, and it probably isn't the Micra chassis, but it's not much bigger.
Is it a future classic though?
No,
I don't know, like a design icon.
The Duke, no, Micra, the original Micras would have been. They're worth some money now, like an old one of them. But yeah, so you're probably we probably share quite a bit in common there with that, because I always looked at cars. I think even when the internet came more available and eBay had car listings, and you could go on eBay and look at all sorts of cars. And then what I would do at 17, 18 was, it didn't matter what I liked, it mattered what I could insure. So I would spend loads of time putting insurance quotes through constantly online. So I'd have 50 quotes done a day for different cars that I didn't even own yet, but I'd just get the number plate and put it in and be like, did you know this is loads of horsepower, but actually really cheap to insure? So that's another knack that's become a thing now. There's people who are saving people money on their insurance through different tricks and tips on how you put the story together.
Starting on your parents' car, and then and then getting some experience from that helps you.
Or you put people on your insurance with you, like your parents, and it gets it lower and all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's all sorts of. Compared to when I learned, which is the sort of mid to late 90s. Yeah, the insurance now is. It's mad, but it's almost like a rite of passage. You've basically got to go through that financial penalty to come out the other side, and then it's okay.
We were talking about this the other day in my house, because my husband's realised that he's never had his own car. He's always had work cars, which means that the insurance is with the company, not with him.
Which means he hasn't got
he's got no history when it comes to insurance, which might be a good thing because I have crashed one of them. I say crash, I scraped it up the side. It wasn't a crash, it just bumped. It was fine. It's the only time I've ever had any issues, and it was in his work car. So I was like,
oh well, it's their problem.
That's fine. That's up to them. But yeah, we were talking about
well, the thing is,
how the best way that we could do it.
If he's a bit older, so he's not a teenager, I'm assuming, so therefore, the age will help a bit, I guess. Because I worked with the lady the other day, and she was buying, what did we buy? An Igo. Bought an Igo. It's quite a cool little car.
The Igo is quite cool, actually. Yeah.
She bought a second-hand Igo in the end. She'd had one before. We went around lots of options before we came back to the Igo, but I made sure I did that just so, due diligence and all that. And she was 30, I think, and this was her first car she was ever going to own. So it was a similar scenario. She managed to insure it, and it wasn't too bad.
I can see him in an Igo.
Igo.
He looked like a proper hairdresser.
He'd fit in an Igo for sure.
I don't know. I think they're quite fun.
He'll have to borrow his mum's hairdressing bag.
Igo? No, I never did in the end.
No. 6 foot. You're what? 6'4"? Did you say?
I'm 6'4".
Yeah, you're not an Igo
driver. Small cars don't work for me. Saying that, our second car is a Panda, which is the bane of my life because it's always going wrong.
They're great cars, though.
It's a cool bit of design. They're useful, but it's made of toffee.
The way that they move the seating around and stuff, I think they all flat out. Because is that particular one that they did? It might be a cargo or something stupid that they did. They've done a lot of versions of the Panda,
Yeah, a little 4x4
They do a
ones
4x4 one, yeah.
It's still going, bless it, but at the moment, it's got a weird knock and a squeak, and there's something with the oil pump that may be ultimately terminal.
What I found with cars now is the obviously electronics are a real pain in the ass because there's a lot of sensors that go. Or so then like you get in the car and it lights up like a Christmas tree. But actually,
I don't know if it's going to explode or if it's okay.
Mechanically, it's probably okay. A lot of the time, or it might be giving you warnings that it's not going to be okay.
Yeah, and you get it, and you think
you got to kind of trust whether you want to go and get it done or not.
I've got to the point now where that I mean, I'm generally really fastidious with our cars, so the Panda does my head in because I can't keep it fixed for any length of time. But so they're always. I mean, ours is filthy because of the roads at the moment. But usually they're clean, and if something's broken, it gets fixed very rapidly, either by me or one of my specialist or local garages, depending on which car it is. It does keep me too busy, really. And so the warning light scenario, I've got like a plug-in Bluetooth thing, and so I can interrogate it.
They're really good actually for that.
But and often it depends, because if the car, like an engine management light coming up, that could be anything, of course. And if you're your average person owning the car, they're not going to have that. And so it's basically saying don't, warning, maybe don't drive the car or do. So and it, and what do you do? Because you just see pound signs straight away, don't you? But often, yes, it's something electronic like a wheel sensor or whatever it is that's gone. It wouldn't be for a management light, but you've got to you've got to make the decision. Am I going to go, or am I going to leave it here and do something else?
The problem is with buying the car as well is you can clear those faults and they'll actually stay off for quite a while.
Yeah,
long enough to buy the car,
and then you get home and it comes on again. Yeah,
do you know
Wes is looking at me because he knows that's what I did with my Mini.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Dishonest car girl.
Precisely what I tell my clients not to do. My thing is I'm being really brutally honest. So my take on it is from the consumer angle, right? So I'm definitely, if I've got someone who has got those kind of faults, we either get it fixed or you disclose it in the advert, because it comes back and bites you usually.
My neighbour owned a car garage, so he helped me with that one.
Don't bring him into the plot as well.
It's fine. He's retired. He's retired now.
No, you're giving away too much information.
I'm not going to name. I won't name the guy.
In prison for fraud.
He's retired. When I'm sat working from home and he's popping out to walk the dogs like midday, and I'm like, I wish I was like that.
Yeah. But my thing. So your service, talk me through how someone, because it'd be great for people to understand how to work with you, right? So how does it work?
So at the moment, going back to starting the business, one of the people who's sort of been loosely mentoring me said, don't see it as a business, see it as a series of experiments while you work out what this is you're doing.
Okay.
And so I still see that. I mean, I've done quite a few of these now, and it is getting past that point, really. But I'm starting to sort of settle on what the service is. And there's two sides of it, really. One tends to be more dominant than the other. So the less dominant side is helping people sell or move on their previous car. So very often you've got a car, you don't want it anymore for whatever reason, you're upgrading, and you need it to go somewhere so you can have a new one. And simple, isn't it? Sounds so easy. But of course it isn't if it's old or broken, which most people's cars seem to be. And also the value, is it a low value car? So you might just put it on Marketplace, which is it's an interesting experience.
That is a real rare experience.
That is. 400 quid.
I'll give you £50 for it.
I'll turn up tomorrow, mate.
Send me all the documents on a picture. No.
Yeah.
I ain't doing it. I'd rather just give it to a garage.
Well,
I'll have it back.
Yeah. But my thing is,
but it does give you a bigger return.
It's to maximise the value for the client.
And it actually is quite good to do it for other people to get older cars at a reasonable price. Like if you've got very little budget, Marketplace could be a good place to go and get a real cheap car and get up and,
where
and get on
the road.
Mini
from.
That's where our Panda came from. That's gone well. It was good for the first 2 years, to be fair to the Panda.
Sorry for this Panda.
Sorry, Panda.
Slated.
There's a whole story with that car as well, which was quite interesting. I bought it from a man who was losing his sight. And actually, with hindsight, what he said was perfect. Of course, he couldn't see that it was broken. Bless him.
Buying it off a blind car dealer, basically.
I've never done that. It was the first for me. And I realised afterwards, of course, he can't see all the dents in the car.
He was being really honest with you. Yeah, he was being really honest. It's like, it's perfect.
He was being really honest. Yeah. Anyway, so there's the selling part. So if it's a lower value car, well, I'll have a conversation. I'll say, right, these are your 4 options. You can trade it in. You'll get £1. Someone got offered £1 the other day I was with. That was amazing. They clearly didn't want it. You can try and sell it on Marketplace if it's a low value car, because it's probably not worth paying to be an Auto Trader, and the sorts of people looking at Auto Trader aren't going to want that car. You can We Buy Any Car it, but obviously we know what happens there. They give you a price, you go along, and they give you a lot less than the price. motorway is another option, and there's all sorts of different options. So I go through all the options with my clients, and then we certainly start off with an approach, and then we might pivot if it's not going well or if they need to move the car on more quickly, because most people need that car gone to help put the money into the new one, or it's taking up space on their drive or whatever. So we do that. And then that I find is, and there's occasionally people who just want me to do that. I'm not a car dealer. I'm not a car broker. I'm not selling it for them. I'm enabling them. So I'll write the advert for them. I'll appraise the car. I'll take the photos.
Really?
You know, because people do really shit photos of cars on the market. Yeah. They take photos of cars at night time.
Or when
which is
wet.
Always great, isn't it?
Like, when they're wet and it's not, you don't know what you can't see.
People still do that stuff. And also people are using AI now really badly to write adverts. AI is incredibly helpful. I use it for various things, but you can tell when it's an AI advert, you know, so someone's selling a car with a big engine that does, you know, and really shitty gas mileage. And the AI goes, get AI to write the adverts. The AI writes the advert, and you're reading the advert, and you can tell it's AI because AI is going, this car does amazing gas mileage at 25 mpg.
Yeah, and that's not great.
That was AI, wasn't it? You didn't write that yourself, did you? That's hardly a selling point. You don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I write the advert for people, take the photos if they want me to do that, if you're going to do a private sale or Auto Trader or whatever it is, and then it still goes in their name, the sale, and then I'll assist them with the process. So if they're getting lots of dodgy messages, they can talk to me about the dodgy messages, and I can pick out those are the people that are going to buy you a car. These people tell them to go away for them. So, and it's just having someone holding your hand through the process, because it can be really horrible and not fun. And I'll be honest, 3/4 of my clients so far are female because of that experience, as well as the dealer experience. And they want someone to assist them, not because they're not capable, because they fully are, but just because they are so sick of idiots and people being unpleasant, basically, in one way or another. So we do that part. Might just be that part, but mostly I do that as part of the buying process as well. And then we move on to the buying, and I basically, which is I think the more dominant part, and I think people get the most value out of me. And it's all that stuff that takes all the time that you just don't have when you're busy, you've got a family, whatever it is. You don't want to spend your whole life on the internet, you know, looking at car adverts, and then you go to phone them and the car's gone and they never reply, or, you know. So I basically start off with a process where we look at, I get a specification for your lifestyle. What are you going to use this car for? Have you got a dog? Have you got kids? Where do you live? Is there lots of potholes? You know, what does your car need to survive in your lifestyle? So we spec that up.
Potholes.
Yeah, that was a thing now, isn't it, around here? Goodness, it's like a war zone. And then we move on from that to, right, I suggest some models, not specific cars they're going to buy, but just these sorts of things will suit you.
Yeah.
And what I will do is I will use my knowledge of avoiding the stuff that is going to be likely to be broken or broken soon after you buy it. So I will exclude, you know, Fords with wet belts. Yeah. You know, that kind of stuff. Just because you're not going to be able to afford to fix that, and you don't know. So we do all that process. They decide the sort of things they might like. We get down to 2 or 3 models. Yeah. And then I do a deep dive, and I do all the searching across all platforms, you know, from eBay, Auto Trader, Marketplace, Gumtree, Piston Heads, wherever it's likely to be, sort of car, all that stuff that takes you hours. I do that for you, and then you get a nice spreadsheet or a Google Doc or something with all the bits of information about those cars, MPG, owners, what the MOT history is like, and then from that, we get it down, and then we go and see some cars, and then you buy a car, and that, you know, the amount of time that saves people, and also the angst, because if they don't know much about cars and they're going,
so when do you discuss, so in the process, I mean, it's a good process, and that's
we start off with a call, by the way, together, so they get a free phone conversation with me or a video call, whatever,
because you want to know, like, okay, what have you got, what we're potentially going to get back out of that.
How broken is it?
Is that going to sell or not, or what do we have to do with it? And then obviously what your budget is that you can afford moving forward.
Yes.
And what does it need to do?
I'm very careful with budgets as well.
Budgets
so
really tricky.
On cars.
Yeah, I do overspend on cars. When I go in, I'm going to spend this, and then I end up spending a lot more.
Yeah, it's common.
But I think it's because that's the you know, finding your budget. You have to kind of be strict with a budget and go, right, actually, I'm going to walk away from this one because it is too much.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to swallow that. I'm going to move. I'm going to look around another week or two and find something else. Also, I think people get panicked to buy something.
They get absolutely. You get to a point where they're desperate very often, and particularly people are busy. You know, the people that hire me for a reason, I think, and they get very desperate and they end up buying the wrong car, or when it costs too much, or they end up spending more money than they had. So I always get people to set a budget. You know, it's between this and this. And then we work together through that. And, you know, we may come to the point where I say, okay, your budget isn't going to do it, but I do my absolute best. And within that also leave some money. So once you've bought it, if, you know, you have a bit of money left over, so it does need tyres or brakes, classic things, you know, you've got that in the budget, or you've haggled the price to the correct level. You know, I mean, some dealers will do if it comes from, because some of my clients buy privately, but if it comes from a dealer, if they're a decent dealer and the tyres are low and the brakes are low, they will do that before it moves on. But some don't still, and that's part of the price. So we do that. I also talk to people about, I don't advise on finance packages or anything, but we talk broadly around, okay, this is how much money you've got from your old car to put in as cash. What's your budget? Well, don't get finance from a manufacturer because it's, an auto manufacturer, because it's really expensive. 0% credit card, if you can do that and you can be diligent, that's a way of, or a loan, a bank loan. One of the worst ways is to finance from a car manufacturer.
There's a couple of companies now doing that you can go through to finance your car separately.
Yeah,
they're a little bit better than the manufacturers, but not as good as, say, a bank loan or whatever.
No. I mean, obviously,
although borrowing's got expensive in general, hasn't it?
It has.
It's all gone up a little bit.
Want more than they can afford very often. So I think you do get people who've got. I find the people with the lowest budgets have the highest expectations in terms of what they can get, and also the condition of the vehicle. And it's really hard when people realise that car prices have gone up a lot, not just since COVID, because they did, and then they've dropped a little bit, but they're still high. And our Panda is a good example. That car, we paid £3,000 for it 3 years ago, whatever it was. That car back in the day would have been £1,000 car at that point, and it just wasn't. Yeah. And I think people get very depressed when they realise that the £1,000 cars, there are still the odd good one. I found one with a client this weekend. We found an old Focus estate, which is perfect for what they needed. They didn't have a budget. They had a little bit above what they ended up paying for it. They paid £1,000 for the car, which really isn't a lot. But it was solid, and it's going to suit their family.
Get a car for £1,000.
Yeah, you can. Most of them are broken, but there's the odd thing.
Are £1,000.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I think the car market, what I've found or seen in terms of like the reports that I've read or watched, is that the new car sales have dropped significantly since COVID.
Yeah.
And actually, the used car market and people more interested in keeping hold of cars has gone up. And it's a little bit like what they found, what society was like quite a long time ago. Probably the eras that we're talking about, where you did keep your car and you fixed it.
Might have been 10 years or something.
And you kept it going because it was a good car. And I think that's now been, what we're seeing is the EV market. They've got these, like Chery, for example, it's got multiple brands, haven't they, in the market from China. They are trying to be as cheap as possible to attract people to go, okay, you're feeling the pinch, but I'm actually only £350 a month and I've got everything included. Some of them are even doing insurance for that. Yeah. They're trying to entice people away, but that used car market has sort of held its price.
It has.
It's held its price. Yeah, it's quite strong.
It's really strong. And that's hard for people when they go into the strong market.
Yeah.
Think, is that what I can get for 5,000?
And then if they're actually going to put like together, say they're buying a car for 10,000 and then they're having to get like finance or a loan, and then you've got a 2-3 year lease for £300 a month on a brand new EV. It's very attractive to just go that EV
people
route.
People got very used to the PCP kind of car model where, you pay a deposit or your car is the deposit, whatever, and you pay a monthly fee, which you can afford. And at the end, you pay them a load more money to buy the car, which people never do because that's hugely unattractive because you basically just you get locked in. And so you have a 3-year-old car, or you have a car for 3 years. It's never any older than 3 years old. You have a new car every 3 years. But the amount of money that people spend across many, however many years they do that for, which can be a lot of years for people, rather than actually putting that in a bank account and, as a saving thing and then buying the vehicle outright or doing it some other ways, it's definitely become the norm.
I did it for a little while after my first 2 cars because I'd had so many issues with them. And
it's easier.
I was at uni up in Cheltenham at the time, but I'd started working at an agency part-time because I had the Christmas freak out in 3rd year where mum and dad were like, what are you going to do when you finish? So I was like driving from Cheltenham to Wellington at least twice a week. And my dad was like, your cars are literally full. Oh, that was it. The exhaust fell off on the motorway of my C1. And my dad...
C1 again.
C1. I know. My dad
Terrible
was like, we're not... Blame dad, he took me. But he went, we're not doing this anymore. And he dragged me out to go and get something that he was like, you need to PCP it and get on. It was like, it was their Just Add Fuel
that
they were doing. Yeah, because he was like, anything that goes wrong with it, you can get it sorted. They're going to sort everything for you. Like, it's just a safe option.
You're just
at
paying
this
for the
point.
service, basically, of having that vehicle, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know technically the DVLA would say you own the car because you're registered to your name, but
you don't really,
you're really renting it. And then if you're going to rent it, is it better to do a lease deal and just say, I am really renting this? I'm renting a washing machine, especially as EVs are coming in. And I'm not anti-EV at all. I'm really keen on working with people with EVs as they move into them because it's an interesting and exciting change, and it works for some people.
And it's a more complicated purchase for some people.
But the finance packages and what the manufacturers are doing, particularly with the Chinese brands coming in. So I worked with a lady from Budley who bought a BYD. I think we talked about her earlier. We tried the Renault 5. It was really funky and jazzy, but the BYD was sensible and less money. And that's what she bought, and she's very happy with it. But but I think she bought it outright, to be fair. So it's not a good example of a finance package scenario. But yeah, because you couldn't afford to buy those cars otherwise. So basically, as my dad would say, people are all running around in cars that they can't afford, which is the truth, because you can't afford those cars. But it's a way of doing it. As long as you see it as a sort of a rental arrangement and you're comfortable with what you're paying. But it is a huge amount of money. And I think for me, one of my, I'm trying to take the consumer point of view. So most people who talk about cars, on YouTube or podcasts or whatever, they're generally, they have some sort of,
they're endorsed.
They're endorsed by manufacturers. Somehow. They're working with.
They're not necessarily being paid directly. No. But they need cars to review, and they've got to keep them happy. Yeah. So, do you know what I mean? If they go and slate every car that comes, they're not going to get another one to talk about, are they? So,
and I'm not aligned with any manufacturer or dealer, so I'm hugely independent. I mean, dealers will get trade from me, the good ones, because I will direct people to the ones that I know are good. Where I've had good experiences, but I'm not going to be aligned with anybody else except the customer or the client that's paid me to work with them, because that's the whole point. So for me, I'm very much on the consumer side, which is kind of unusual. If you look online, is there anyone else doing this? There kind of isn't, unless you're going to go and buy a supercar. It's because usually if you want a sort of car shopper type person, they'll go off and buy you a Ferrari or something. But I'm actually doing that and I'm happy to do that. If somebody wants me to go and find them a Ferrari, I'd love to do that. But I'm doing it for your average Joe. I'm doing it for the average Joe.
You'd have to go and look at a few, wouldn't you?
Yeah, quite a few, possibly in Monaco.
Yeah, somewhere really nice.
Yeah, I think that would be the place to go and find a Ferrari.
Do you find that because of the way that cars, like you said, the purchasing, so the finance element of it is quite important, right? Because a car will depreciate at a rate. So even if you buy, like, say, let's be simplistic, I buy a car for 10 grand and it drops at 2 grand a year.
Yeah.
But I can lease a car for, which would be really tricky, but say £100 a month.
Ooh, that'd be a good
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be really tight.
Yeah.
You can do 150 to 170. You can pick up something. Not going to be anything very high end.
No, it's like a Dacia Spring or whatever they're called.
But that 10 grand car could go wrong. It could have issues. Hopefully it doesn't, but typically they will.
Yeah.
And then you've got the depreciation. It's going down at £2,000 a month, which might be a bit steep for a 10 grand car. I think there is a point where you kind of go, well, I can see why I'm never going to own it, but I'm also got a brand new car with warranty and it's not going to cost me. And I think there's a real, people are quite torn sometimes because they can maybe afford the payments on the 10 grand or they can buy for a lease. And it's that like understanding of that.
It's a cultural thing though. In the UK, I don't know what it's like elsewhere, but the cultural thing that we owned our cars historically, and car finances basically allow people to own newer cars, more people to own newer cars than they would have done in the past. A lot of people who have new cars now would have had older cars in the past. They would have done in the 80s when I grew up. But, so people are swanning around the newer cars. And actually, I think we're moving to a model potentially where with EV coming in so heavily, if most people are going to be driving EVs eventually, especially city driving, where they're most useful, I think, and people are seeing the vehicle in a more dispassionate way, as it is just a washing machine or a microwave. I'm renting one of those, and it's my
That's
transport.
a great word, dispassionate. It's a great word.
It's also, if it's going to be automated and it's going to drive itself, and
which
all that
it
stuff,
probably will.
You're going to be less bothered. You just get in it and it takes you somewhere and you get out again. Someone else washes itself. Who knows? So where the tech's going. So then you might think, okay, renting it is just a service I'm renting, and I'm not seeing. And then the special cars and the classic cars will be the ones you own.
Yeah.
And you care about. They will still be perhaps fuel powered, combustion engine powered, and those will be the ones that people own. And the other cars will be white goods.
I think you're right. I think
you rent them, and then you'll think very differently about the whole finance package.
Because I got in a Waymo in America this year, just gone. in Phoenix, and it's a self-driving Google car.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real possibility that cars will just be on a subscription. You'd pay an amount, you get so many journeys or whatever a month, and people will just have them pull up and they'll get in them.
Yeah.
Because they won't be as fun to drive. And if they do impose like autonomous driving only, which is really scary thought, but that might be what they do. Because actually humans are the bit that's unpredictable.
Yeah, it's
the machines won't hit each other.
Yeah. Why do you want a human driving it? Humans make mistakes, you know, and
you could be tired, could be drunk, could be blind, like the panda guy.
Yes. Bless him.
Bless him.
Oh, he was a lovely guy as well.
But you know what I mean? I think it's an interesting era.
It makes me a bit sad though. As a
I don't
car
want to
guy,
be in that era. I want to stay out of that era. I want that era to pass me by until I'm, too old to drive or care about it.
Yeah, it's coming and things are changing, and you and I both, I think. But for now, interestingly, I was chatting to a driving instructor the other morning. So we're talking about actually, people passing their test, they need a car, and very often they make terrible mistakes buying cars as well.
Yeah, you could help out.
Yeah, so I am. So I'm working with a couple of driving instructors locally, just, again, as an experiment to see whether I can be useful. And he was, and I was saying, well, everyone's going for automatic anyway now. Are you still driving a manual? And it's like, yeah, there's still a lot of demand for manual because there's a lot of manual cars on the market still at the moment. They're still being manufactured.
Yeah.
ICE powered, not EV, clearly. And so for now, the manual test still has a lot of merit. It gives you the option, doesn't it? Well? Whereas if you've got an auto-only license,
definitely do your manual license.
A lot of people I've come across so many clients who've only got auto licenses.
Yeah,
that baffles me.
I used to see people when they did that, it was more like they weren't particularly good drivers.
Maybe
they didn't want another thing to think about, so it simplified because I think instructors recommended it sometimes. Like you probably should do it
to get them through,
to get through, because it's another thing to take your hand off the wheel for, and and if you're like really nervous or whatever, it probably suits you. But the manual element, I think, is really good because even still now, like I went away over Christmas and I was hiring cars at different places, and you quite often get a manual. Still,
if you've got an automatic
and that's
license,
really weird because the other hand,
that
really throws you.
I drive quite a lot in Europe because my wife's Danish, and we go to France and other places a lot, and so I drive a lot of cars on the wrong side, including her parents' car. And I'm really used to it. But, I suppose it's easier with an auto, isn't it? But auto licenses are problematic because when you come to buy a car, if you haven't got much money, it really limits.
They are expensive.
And down here in the southwest, car prices are inflated in Devon, definitely, compared to the southeast where I used to live, because there's a scarcity. And if you go within that and then you go auto only, and I have got clients where I'm doing that, and we work it through, is you will pay more, there's less to choose from, unless you want to, buy a car from Manchester and have it shipped down, which is fine if you can afford that, and it's from a risk point of view, it's okay. I.e., the more you spend, it's probably more okay to do that. The less you spend, you need to stand in front of it. Yeah. So, auto licenses can be difficult. Saying that, I've had Jaguars and Land Rovers that are automatics, and it's the right gearbox for those cars.
Yeah, they are.
So it depends. And also, if you're sitting in the middle of London or something, why would you want a manual? It's just like your clutch foot dies, your legs.
It's so nice, isn't it? Two pedals. You're just but it's the right. But EVs, of course, they're automatic. But I think someone I know was. Well, I saw there's a garage up from where I'm from, Shropshire originally, and there's a garage up there, some young lads, and they are making a lot of money at the moment finding cheaper automatics for people who just try to drive or don't have a lot of budget.
Yep.
And that's what they buy, and they rinse and repeat. Yeah, I'll give you the details.
There's a chap in Exeter who only sells automatics. He's a dealer, but they're not cheap enough for the people who've got an automatic only license and a £2,000 budget. I mean, by the way, my clients are really varied. So I've got people at that end, and I've also got a guy at the moment with a £60,000 Defender, who I'm working with. So it is a real mixture, But it's the most challenging with the small budget automatic only clients, because it really is tough for them to find something that's worth having.
I have to talk to you about a Defender off air, actually.
He's trying to sell it.
Oh, he's trying to sell it. I'm trying to buy one.
He's had enough. Well, you buy his. He's had enough. He wants to. I think he's looking at. Well, we've been going through various iterations because he's got loads of kids. Yeah, he needs lots of Isofix, and
lots of Isofix.
Well, I know,
that's
and
a scary
thought.
So he's going to get like a family bus, then, isn't
he? We've got to the point of like Ford vans.
Yeah, really?
Yes, because they can be quite nice to a point. But then I did manage to find the Q7, the Audi Q7, has a lot of Isofix. Yeah, nothing hardly else does except the Defender, which he wants to get rid of.
The Q7 is supposed to be unbelievable.
It's a bit of a beast.
It's better than anything that Range Rover's got, I think.
I do love a Range Rover.
I love them.
I don't. The
I've just
new
been
ones
there.
look
I was
a bit
just sitting there
boat-like,
last night with them, talking to them, and I was looking around them all.
See, all my neighbours have them.
All
and
they
they're
sell is Defenders now.
Yeah. They're always getting picked up.
Yeah, but that's you know that when you buy one. It's fine. You take that on the chin.
And I'd only buy an older one probably anyway. But
I think some of the older ones are real cheap now.
L322 Range Rover,
best Range Rover
proper
ever.
Range Rover. I'm yet to own one, but it will happen.
The 5 litre supercharged one is the one you would really want, but they're getting expensive now. They're going up.
They are, and it's not an everyday car, is it? Really?
When
it's got that engine in,
not a lot of litres, not a lot of miles per gallon.
Fuel all the time, wouldn't you? I had I had a Jaguar with the non-as supercharged. I've had the supercharged and the non-supercharged Jaguar, but amazing cars, amazing.
I love them,
but they're not an everyday car. And I feel a bit sorry when you run them as an everyday car because they take a hammering, and for me they're too special.
Yeah,
I know. Not everyone sees them like that. People use them as sort of bangers, and eventually when they get really low price. But supercharged Jaguar, supercharged Range Rover. That's
I'm going to go and buy a car today. I think I've got that.
I'll help you out.
Yeah,
I'll come with you.
Well, listen, it's been really good to get you on. Thank you very much for explaining your story and obviously telling us about what you do. I think there'll be a lot of people, hopefully, that will see this and be really interested in working with you. And I wish you all the best in your endeavours. I'm glad you didn't take your job. Hope you never need to take that job.
Yeah.
I can't slate it too much because we do comms and stuff. So
I love comms has been very good to me. I've learned a lot from it.
Yeah. But it'll help you in this.
When it's great, it is great.
Comms.
Yeah.
When it's great, it's great. But
it can be really tricky.
It can be challenging at times.
So where do people find you? And we'll put it on the
so
link.
you can find me at thathonestcarguy.co.uk. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn if you're a businessy type person, because I've made some business networks, hence why we're talking, I think, in some ways. And also Drive Devon, my car hire business. Don't
forget that. If you need to drive around
DriveDevon.co.uk. If you want a nice little Mazda MX-5 in Devon, you want to go for a nice day out.
Soft top one? Of course. Yeah. So you can get your hair.
Easy fun.
My hair in the wind.
Doesn't come in an automatic, sadly. But,
no, you don't want an auto in one of them anyway.
No. Or a Miata if you're from the States.
Miata, yeah. My son's calls them Miatas. That's like you've watched too much American TV.
That's the two things. That's what I'm doing.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.